Okay, for the final one for Module 1, we're going to do Independent Challenge 2. I'm going to click on the database and I'll choose Open and enable contents and save as and go to my desktop where my folder is. And my last name, first initial, and we are going to name this one Volunteers. And again, I'll enable the contents. And the first thing they want you to do is look at all the different tables. They have you open them all up. Again, I always recommend that we only open one object at a time. So however you want to look at this information, it's always good to know what you're working with. And then we're going to create a query. They suggest using the simple query, but I prefer to use query design. So I'm just going to add all these tables. Not sure what I need, and then I'll figure out what we need. We are going to add the first name from the volunteers table and the last name from the volunteers table, the activity name and date from the activities table. I'm just double clicking on these, and the activity hours. One thing I think I didn't show you last time, if you click, let's say we chose activity hours 2 times by accident, you can always come over to that field until your cursor looks like that upside down black arrow. Then I'm going to click 1 time and use the delete key on my keyboard to get rid of it. We are not putting any specific information in here for our query. We just want to show these different fields from the different tables. So I'm going to come down here and run it in datasheet view. It's always a good habit to just go through and double click to auto fit your fields to make sure that you can see all the information. And we are going to change this shelter fundamentals. This record is going to be updated to outdoor shelter fundamentals. I don't know if you noticed when in query design, you can see that there was one too many relationships. So once I save this query, it should update the name of this activity in all these objects listed over here. So even if I just go to close the query, do I want to save it? Yes, it'll always prompt you to save the after you create it. And we're going to save this as volunteer activity. And there we go. So if we go to activities, here you can see that the outdoor updated the activity name. We're going to create a form using the form wizard, and it's going to be based on the activities table. So I have that here. Again, if it wasn't showing, you would click on the pull down. I want all the fields, so I'm going to use the double arrows and say next. We're going to use the column layout, and we're going to update the name to activity entry and say finish. And here we have our form. They're asking you to look at it in layout view. So you can change your views up here in the top left corner of the ribbon depending on what ribbon you're at. So I almost always come down here to switch my views to the bottom right corner. This one right here is layout view. I'm going to close this field list here. This view allows you to make layout changes. So for example, if I wanted to shorten this up a little bit, I could. Again, we have layout view and design view. In reports and forms, we have these layout and design views. Again, these are where we make structural changes to our reports and our forms. We do not make record changes. So if we were going to add or update a record, I'm going to come back down here, and we need to be in form view in order to do that. I'm going to close this form. And do we want to save it? Sure, I think it's asking me because I changed the size of this field over here. The last thing we're going to create is a report using the report wizard, and that's over here. And we are going to make a report based on the following fields: the activity name, and we're going to switch to the volunteers table and choose the last name from that table. So just 2 fields. We want to view it by activity name. This is kind of the same as grouping, so that's already chosen up here. If I didn't see this as separate up here, then I would have added it. And we will put it in order by last name. We're going to keep the stepped layout and the portrait. And we'll update the name to activity roster. And finish. Again, when we finish our reports, they always open up right away in this print view. So I'm going to close that. And now it's in design view. I'm coming down to my right hand corner, and I'll go to report view. And here is what our report looks like.